is 5 a.m. again here in Bethel, Alaska. And it's dark. We're in the winter. Okay, so let's get started. Feet on the floor, find your neutral spine. Hip bones are level to the pubic bone. And then you're going to see how the ribs flare. You got to bring that together. The ribs come together and down like you're putting them in your pockets. Another cue is press the low ribs into the mat without losing your curve. Pelvis stays level, ribs come down, shoulders come down. Lift a little, bring your shoulder blades towards one another. Then come down. Lengthen out the back of your neck. Turn your palms up. Inhale. Exhale. Actually, get your spine as long as you can. So we've been talking about, this is a mind, body, soul workout. So we're going to start bringing the soul concept in a little more. I've mentioned them a tiny bit, but we're going to pull that in more and more as you learn your alignments. We've got to get the alignments first on the body. If you feel like one half of your rib cage is pressing down more into the mat, you have to level it out so that there's equal weight distribution on both halves of your ribs, equal weight distribution on both halves of your pelvis. And then pressing into the occiput or the lower skull downward to get the retractors to activate of the neck. Then bring your hands behind your head, chin to the Adam's apple, curl up through just the upper back, leave the pelvis in neutral. Exhale, right leg's going to go out long. Level out the pelvis by pressing into the left hip. My right leg is long. Switch. Elbows out to the sides, fingertips on the skull, so you're never pulling. You're just supporting the head. Chin towards the Adam's apple. Switch again. Try to control it. This time, the bent knee is going to lift from the floor. You can either be at 90 degrees or touching the ground. Elbow towards the leg. It's not going to touch the leg. If it does, that means you've let go of the low back and you're flexing in the low back. We don't want that, really. Switch. We want neutral in the low spine. Because that's how you stand. So that's what we're training. We're training neutral. We're not training flexion. This is the beginning, so I'm bringing the leg in a little and dropping the foot, and as I get warmed up, I'll go to 90 and 90 degrees at the knee and hip. Inhale, switch, exhale. Inhale, pause, exhale, switch. Inhale, pausing. Exhale, switch. One more. Release. Build your neutral spine again. So neutral spine is perfect posture. We're always, if you have a choice, train in perfect posture, because guess what? then you're strong in perfect posture. Left foot goes up to the sky, onto your tippy toe, and then lift. Exhale. I am going to take you out of neutral now. Intentionally, I want to get down into the lower transverse. So push your low back into the mat, just because I want these lower muscles to kick in at the expense of losing perfect posture. Inhale, exhale to the right. Inhale back up, switch, exhale to the left. It's okay to come out of perfect posture or neutral spine as long as you know why you're doing it. And you don't want to always train in a back tilt like that, like this right now. So probably 90% of the time I like to train in neutral. And every once in a while I'll throw in a back tilt like we're doing. And by back tilt, I mean the pelvis is tilting backward. Shoulders come down towards the mat. You can lower down further if you can. Again, exhaling with the effort, inhaling on the pauses. And release. Bridge for a second, touching the heels or ankles under knees, and then lift your glutes. Now this will send you into a sway back or forward tilt on the pelvis. So here you have to squeeze the glutes real hard. Engage, squeeze, arch behind the heart. Right here. Go ahead and interlace under the glutes. Lift your right shoulder, tuck it under, lay back down on it. Lift your left shoulder, tuck it under, lay back down on it. Arch behind the heart, the first back bend of the day. If you want to, you can come up to your tippy toes. And if you want to, one foot can go up towards the sky. Level up the pelvis. Chin to the sternum, or rather sternum to the chin. Get fascinated with your breath. We're moving the mind towards theta waves. So as you calm down further and further, you're moving down through the levels of the brain, reaching for theta. Theta is a level where you can rewire the brain. It's subconscious. It's that place between wake and sleep, and in the evening between, or in the morning between sleep and waking up. It's that window where you're in the subconscious mind. And that's what meditation is. It's finding that window again. You know, we get lots of inspiration during that window in the theta waves. We're slowly coming down to that. So slowly come down through your spine the same way. One vertebra at a time hits the mat. But it's hard to calm the mind down to that level. Take advantage of that morning time and the evening windows when you're in theta. So you naturally go through it during that time, during waking up and going to sleep, but we artificially create it in meditation. Meditation is the key. That's the bridge to rewiring the mind. So feet go up towards the sky. Again, we're going to come out of neutral. So press the low. Why? Because the feet are up towards the sky. So whenever you bring the feet up towards the sky, you have to go into a back tilt or press the low back into the mat. Shoulders down. Your back naturally does that when you get up this high because the hamstrings are too tight to allow a neutral spine, too short to allow a neutral spine with the feet straight up. Inhale, exhale, little circle. Sniff, inhale at the top of the circle, exhale as you go around. Inhale, reverse. Shoulders down. They want to come up, don't they? And now we're just going to tap with the right foot down. Now I can lower the legs a little, come back to neutral. I'm not straight up towards the sky. I'm angled where the ceiling meets the wall. And switch. Shoulders down, ribs down, neutral spine on the low back. So that means the pelvis is level. Everything's in concrete. Just the knees are moving. To get to theta, you're following your breath. You're slowing the tempo of your heart. You're bringing your mind inside yourself. And release. Butterfly the knees open, just to give the hip flexors a rest. Three teasers. Your legs are in tabletop. Inhale, exhale, chin to the Adam's apple first, and then roll up. Shoulders down. Inhale at the top, straighten out. Exhale, tilt the pelvis back. Roll down one vertebra at a time. Inhale. Exhale, chin to the Adam's apple. Find neutral at the top. Exhale, tilt the pelvis back. Head is last. Chin to the Adam's apple. Exhale back. Excellent. In Pilates, you always control yourself out of every movement, and that's part of the work. That's why I'm laughing when I flopped out of that. Let's lay on our stomachs. So you can always modify anything. If you can't lay on your stomach, you can always do these things in standing or sitting. Every yoga pose, every exercise can be done in lying, sitting, or standing. You just have to modify it and change it. I'm just wiggling and getting an equal weight distribution on both halves of my pelvis. Both legs have equal weight distribution. And we're going to head into let's do the Sphinx first. So elbows are directly under shoulders, shoulders up, back, and down. They have to come down. That's the important part. Now your arms are like railroad tracks. Fingers spread wide like a starfish. Middle finger points straight ahead. Belly pulls in and up, so your belly pulls away from the mat. Again, shoulders back and down. Really pull those shoulder blades down into your back pockets. Belly up, tailbone down into the mat. And maybe your feet spread a little wider when you do that. That's fine. Your legs do not have to be together. That may, the sacral plate at the bottom of the spine has to tilt a little bit. It has to have some wiggle room. And sometimes with those of us with wider hips, when you bring your feet together, it gets in the way of that plate tilting back and forth. So if your feet want to spread wide, you just let them. Belly button in and up, tailbone down towards the mat, or press the pubic bone into the mat. Belly in and up again, shoulder blades down the back. Now retract your head, make a double chin. You're looking at your hands. And then you're going to look at the edge of your mat. If I had a mat right here, or I'm looking at this corner. So that my back bend is in the very low neck. But my chin is still down and my head is still retracted. Now with the hands, press down into the mat with both palms and then pull towards your hips. So it's a down and shift back slightly. My hands are moving, but in my mind, pushing down and pulling. There's an equal weight distribution from the fingertip to the elbow. So you're not hanging out in these elbows. Press down into the hands. Pull the blades away. Pull towards your hips. That should get very intense very quickly. Breathe like you mean it. Belly in and up, tailbone down. That lengthens and flattens the low back so that this back bend can go into the upper back is where you're trying to send this, right behind the heart. Now walk your elbows forward 2 inches. Press down into the mat and pull towards your hips. There's, barely any weight in your elbows. Belly up, tail down, breathe, pull with the hands. Retract your head, make that double chin. Follow your breath inside yourself. Knocking the stress out just a little bit more. Remember, your cortisol comes down when the stress comes down. Cortisol encourages fat storage, so we want cortisol to lower. Cortisol does a lot of things, look it up, that are not so lovely. You want to bring your cortisol levels down, and to do that, you get these long meditative patterns in your workout. It actually, cortisol, when your cortisol goes up, it lowers the amount of natural killer cells that you have. And your killer cells go around to eating cancer cells. So you need your natural killer cells. Cortisol likes to impede that process. It gets in the way. Walk your hands forward 2 inches, shoulder blades down the back, lift your belly in and up, tailbone, pubic bone, press down to the mat. So that means you got to squeeze your glutes. So tailbone down is a glute cue. Your glutes engage. Belly in and up is an ab cue. The ab cue must come first, then the tailbone goes down. Otherwise, the glutes will take over this movement, and I need a 50-50 contraction. I need an ab contraction plus a glute contraction to stabilize the low back, and it needs to be 50-50 or somewhere around there. I don't want the glutes doing this whole job. The muscles are made to work together. The two halves, the front half of the body and the back half of the body, are meant to work in synchronicity, not let the glutes do all the work and the belly go soft. That's where our problems come from. Those types of back to front imbalances unstabilize the joints and weaken the opposite muscle when one set takes over. So we're creating balance in the muscle tissue. Oh, take a rest. Bring the feet in and just stretch the thighs. So here again, pubic bone down, that's going to stretch the quads even more. Hands under shoulders, cobra, elbows squeeze in towards the body, blades down the back, belly in and up, pubic bone down to the ground. Lengthen the back of your neck and retract your head. Starfish on the hands, press the entire hand down into the mat and pull back towards your hips ever so slightly. Inhale to prepare, and as you exhale, you're going to lift the head and then slowly lift the shoulders. Inhale at the top, exhale as you lower down. And hey, if you don't get, I throw a lot of cues out there really fast. But you know what? I say it over and over and over every single day. So eventually you'll catch it. You'll go, oh, you catch this one and then catch that one. Elbows in, shoulder blades down, retract the head. Just do 1 or 2 of them if you want. And then over these weeks, you'll start to appreciate the multiple activities going on within the body. Inhale, pull the hands towards the hips. Chest is reaching way out in front of you as you slowly lower it down. And here's a case where there's a lot of cues here, so you're not going to get it the first time. That's fine. Hands pressing down, elbows squeezing in, hands moving towards the hips, retract the head, inhale. Belly button in and up, tailbone down. Slowly rising, inhale first, exhale, slowly rising. High ribs move forward and up, mid ribs move forward and up, low ribs move forward like towards the edge of your mat and up. Squeeze the elbows in, inhale. Exhale, pull back with the hands, low ribs move towards the edge of the mat, front edge of the mat, and then lower them down. Mid ribs are reaching forward and down. High ribs reaching forward and down. That's a lot. Elbows in, elbows reaching towards your hips. Hands shifting towards your hips as well. Belly in and up, tail down. Point your toes, or point your feet and spread your toes, spread your fingers. So your consciousness is in your fingertips and your toes. Belly in and up, tailbone anchors down to the mat. Retract your head and slowly rise. High ribs move towards the front of the mat and you're pulling back with your hands. Mid ribs forward and up, low ribs forward and up. Squeeze the elbows in for the rotator cuff engagement. As you exhale, low ribs move forward and down. Mid ribs move forward and down. High ribs move forward and down. Rest your head to one side. Let everything just go soft. That'll raise your heart rate. We talk about not getting into cardio in this class, but your heart rate does go in up and down, up and down. We do want to do 20 minutes of constant, continuous cardio every day. I know you all are doing that. So after this class, maybe at lunchtime, wherever, 20 minutes of cardio. And it doesn't have to be hard, just to where your heart rate goes up into that level that I have on the Facebook page. You can 60 to 80% of your heart rate max. You can look up that formula. 220 minus your age is your max. Then you take 80% of that, 60 to 80% of that, and you stay in that range. It's a brisk walk or swimming or, whatever you like for cardio, riding a bike. I just walk on the treadmill. I like to swim sometimes too. Whatever you can get your hands on. I like to watch the news while I do it. It makes the time go by. Cardio is not my favorite, but I know it has to be done. So I'll watch something on YouTube that I really like that keeps me distracted. This is our mindfulness work. Elbows in, and we're going, okay, so now we are trying to tether the mind to the body. So here we go. Let's tether them together. Your mind has to really hook into your body right now as you follow these cues. Elbows in. Elbows reach the shoulder, the hip bones. Starfish on the hands and feet. Press the hands into the mat. Pull them towards your hips. Belly button in and up. Tailbone anchors down towards the floor. Lengthen out the back of your neck. Drive your shoulder blades down your back. Inhale to prepare. Exhale, chin scrapes the Adam's apple as your head comes up. And your high collarbones reach towards the front edge of your mat. Reach and lift. Mid ribs reach forward and lift. Low ribs reach forward and lift. Breathe like you mean it. Come a little higher. Now balance the two halves of your back so that both halves of your back are equally contracting. You're not heavy into one side of your back. Just go in there and go, okay, let's level this out. I'm going to dial down the left side and rev up the right side. Now they're even. Inhale. Exhale, lowering down. Low ribs reach forward and down. Mid ribs forward and down. Elbows in, shoulders away from ears. High ribs forward and down. Head goes to one side. Let your body go soft. Listen to your heartbeat. Place your hands under your shoulders. Press back into an eastern stretch or a tortoise. Interlace your fingers. Make a steeple. Cross the thumbs. Cross them a different way than you're used to. Reach way out there. Point your fingers down. Slide your head through that hole and lock out those elbows. They have to be super straight and locked. Remember, I showed you how to do this on a stool. I think it was yesterday. So you can sit on a stool and do this too if you have knee replacements. I want to stretch the arms a different way today. So you're just going to come out to the floor. Spread your feet wide. I'm not sure if you can see my feet. I'm going to come up here. You may miss the top of my head, but your just feet are wide and let your head dangle down. Feet are turned in slightly. I'm going to take my socks off. starting to warm up. Again, the yogis do not like chaos around them, so you will fold your socks nicely. Spread the feet wide. Turn the feet in ever so slightly so you can get the peroneals on the outer edge of the shins. Drop your head. Now we're going to interlace behind the back and lift your hands away from your waistline. Shake your head yes and no. This is traction for the neck. If you get dizzy here, you can do it sitting on the side. You can sit on the stool, place your head here, lift here. This works too. And you can even sit on the stool and straddle. You can straddle the legs, sit on the stool. Those are all variations, remember, standing, sitting. You can do this lying down as well. So whatever position you're in, stay there. But you can do this lying down like so. You just have to use your imagination a little bit. Bend one knee. Get fascinated with your breath. Bend the other knee. Come to center. Release the arms. Knees come down. And we're going to go to standing. Find a sink or a chair. Let's start with the tree pose because I'm going to preface some of the stuff that we're going to, not stuff, important soul stuff we're going to talk about. So big toes together, heels slightly apart, rock through your feet, rock forward and back, rock smaller and smaller and smaller till you find a midpoint on your feet. Belly in and up, tailbone anchors down. So do you see that's the same cue that you had laying down? You don't want to overpower with the glutes. That'll put you in this position. So just belly in and up, tailbone anchors down slightly so you get a balance between these two muscle sets. Ribs knit together to get this upper area, upper transverse abdominis muscle to contract. And that stabilizes your mid-back. It's very important. Shoulders up, back, and down so that the scapula, the shoulder blades are driving down the back, creating a beautiful, the shoulder blades are the socket. Arms down by the side. Now you have to retract your head back on top of your spine, making a slight double chin. You can hold on to something. Go ahead and turn the palms up. I like to rest my foot on top of the other foot. Losing your balance, you can touch the big toe down, find your mountain pose again. You might have to start all the way over. Get your alignments. Stare at a point. Close the ribs. Lift the toes to make sure you're not gripping. The toes like to claw. Lift the toes and then rest the toes ever so slightly on the floor so they are not doing all the work. Your your toes are pointing straight ahead. Reaching down into the earth and then to the top of your head, reaching up into the heavens. So I hinted at the chakra system. The chakra system is considered the spirit, not the soul, it's the spirit. So the spirit, if you're looking at, think of it as a computer. The body is the hardware, and then the spirit is the Wi-Fi that connects you to the soul, your soul, and divinity. The spirit is kind of a go-between, like Wi-Fi itself. It's the signal system. It's not the soul, but it's the signal system to the soul. The soul is like the cloud. So to get the Wi-Fi, the correct Wi-Fi with the correct bandwidth, with the correct 5G service, we have to iron out the spirit, the chakra system. And it gets all messed up. And the signal gets all messed up. And the signal is not real strong when we have issues with the different chakras. So the chakra system is from yoga, but every religion has this same system with the same topics. They just call it something different. And in Christianity, we call it the sacraments, the 7 sacraments. And in Judaism, they call it the 10 sephiros. But in the sephiros, there are 3 female sephiros that are counterparts of 3 male sephiros, making it 7 again. So the Jewish belief system still has those 7 topics, and they're identical across those 3. They're all the same. And if you want to know more, read Anatomy of the Spirit by Carolyn Myss, M-Y-S-S, who is a great mentor of mine. And a billion people in the world. She's a world-renowned teacher. And in that book, she compares the 3 systems. The unique thing about the chakra system compared to the others is the chakra system is literally placed within the body. They locate it. And it sits along the spine, which is interesting. The spinal cord is the electrical system between the mind and the body. It is the system, the nervous system connects the mind and the body. That's how they communicate. Again, the spirit is the communication system, the Wi-Fi. So why wouldn't it sit along the spinal cord? What a perfect place for it to be. And they believe it starts at the tailbone. The first chakra, the first sacrament, is at the tailbone. Then the low belly is the second. Third is at the belly button. Fourth is at the heart. Fifth is throat. Sixth is forehead. Seventh is at the top. So it sits from here to here. Brain to tailbone. And that is the brain and the spinal cord itself. Get real tall. I know it's starting to burn, isn't it? Either your ankle or your hip. That's okay. We're stabilizing. We're stabilizing every joint along the way. We're building perfect posture. And adding balance. And if you fall, you just get back up and do it again. Start over. And then release. So we're going to start doing a prayer system through this class because prayer is working that Wi-Fi. It's sending things through the Wi-Fi. The spirit is the Wi-Fi. The prayer is imperative. That's the actual communication, like Morse code. That's the actual Morse code that you're sending through to the cloud. So you got to get good at that. Not even good at it. Anyone can do it. You've got to get regular with it. Let's put it that way. You've got to start getting consistent with that. It's got to work into your life. And we're just going to work it into this hour and a half. And what you'll find is you start working that system throughout the day. Like when you're confronted with a coworker that you don't care for, you work the Wi-Fi system and you're like, this is communication. Counsel. This is counsel, the grace of counsel. Counsel me. Counsel me. How am I supposed to do this? You're communicating with the cloud, the divine, your soul, however you want to see that. Counsel me. What do I do here? And then you get your message. And that's how your relationships will improve. One of the 6 pillars we talked about. Rock through your feet. Build your mountain. Belly in and up. Shoulders up, back and down. Retract your head. Stack the other foot on top. Now you want to turn the knee out so that you balance better. Retract your head. Turn your palms up. The palms are gathering light. You can bring them together in a prayer position if you like, or here. We're not going overhead yet. Don't do that yet. I haven't talked you through it. It's very difficult. Breathe. Big deep breathing. So how we're going to start praying through this class is very simple. We're going to work that system from the bottom to the top. Each one has a topic. Each one has a grace associated with it. Each one has one of the deadly sins, 7 deadly sins. So the 7 deadly sins were created by Pope Gregory the Great. I should have looked at, I want to say the 1400s, 1500s, somewhere around there, maybe the 1600s. He compiled a council. They went through the Bible. They figured out the deadly sins. They even know the order, like pride is the worst of the deadly sins. They even know which one is more lethal than the others, but they're all pretty lethal. Anyhow, there's 7 of them, and they also sit in those chakras. And you will find that if this is your Wi-Fi system and the deadly sin is what you practice every day, the grace cannot control that energy center, that chakra. So we're going to pray to shift away from the deadly sin and ask for the grace. Grace is given. It's not, you don't just get it. It's delivered to you, but you have to ask. Ask and you shall receive. So you have to keep asking for it, and then it's a gift given to you. But you have to work at it. And then you're living in the grace as opposed to the deadly sin. You've transplanted it. And that's how your life begins to change. And when we move into these theta waves, that we're rewiring the brain. As we do these exercises, we are harnessing the mind and the body together. Yoga literally means yoke, like yoking 2 oxen together. That's what we're doing. We're yoking the mind and the body together so that they're working as a unit. We're revving up the Wi-Fi and getting it operating at 5G and clear, big bandwidth. And then we're sending our communications through that Wi-Fi to the soul, and then the soul rules the system. The soul rules your decision making. The soul gives you your answers. The soul changes your life. That's where your peace, the harmony that we're all desperately searching for comes from. And as a result, once you get that system set up, once you get your Wi-Fi system, the computer system all set up, it's hard to set a computer system up. But once you get it all rolling, it's strong. It's really strong. And then that changes your relationships. that changes your stress level. That's when your world starts to fall into place. And then once those things start to fall into place, your addictions leave you, because your addictions are a deep hole that you're trying to fill because your Wi-Fi system isn't working, and the hardware isn't even working very well. And you're like, I got to fix this. I got to fix this. Maybe if I eat more, it'll fix it. Maybe if I drink more, it'll fix it. Maybe actually you're numbing it. Let's numb it a little bit so I don't know that my computer's falling apart and my Wi-Fi system isn't working. And then we'll just sit here in a corner and pretend that I'm not broken. That's what addictions are. So as we start to get these systems set up properly, mind and the body yoking together, they are a powerful team once you get them yoked together. And then the Wi-Fi system is online. The prayer system is using the Wi-Fi system. The soul is driving the wagon at that point, and you're home free. That's called finding yourself. And finding the divine as well. Because the soul is part of the heavens. The soul is part of the divine system, or the God system, however you want to look at that. Now, do these energy centers literally sit along the spine? I don't know. Who cares? It doesn't matter. It's just a nice way of looking at life. It's just a nice way for us to pattern through this prayer system. It's just a nice way to go through the sacraments. It's a nice way for us to go through the sephiros. It's a nice way to go through the issues of the life. They have colors associated with them. They spin in certain directions. They've got all these little things that go with them that you can visualize in your head, and the visualization of where it is in the body pulls everything together. Now, the yogis believe that certain body parts are actually attached to certain chakras, like the belly button. The one that sits at the belly button is attached to the abdominals. So if you have issues here, you'll have issues with this area of the body as well. I don't know. But we will work that chakra when we're exercising that body part. Just because it may be real. And hey, it just gives us a sequencing to do. It works as a visualization sequencing. So believe it, don't believe it, it doesn't matter. It's just a nice way to get through your prayers, your exercise, your mind work. Whew, let go. So holding on to something, getting real tall, building your mountain pose, feet, belly, shoulders, head. You can bring your arm out to the side or turn the palm up, whatever you choose. Point front. Flex the foot. Lift a little higher until you really feel the quad. Now you're going to turn the foot out with the hip. So the knee is still pointing in the direction of the second toe. Now turn the toe in and out. And lift the heel on the standing leg. Turn in. Woo! Can you hold the mountain? Turn out. And if you need to lower the heel, that's fine. And in and out. Bring the leg through to the back. And lift. And lower. Let's go to the other side. Sorry, I've got a frog in my throat this morning. Oh, I brought my tea. Okay, maybe it'll go away. Yeah, that's better. Okay, rock through your feet, build your mountain. Rock through your feet, find a midpoint, belly in and up, shoulders up, back and down, retract your head. Perfect posture. Palm up, Point your toe and lift. Breathe like you mean it. Level the hips. This left hip's going to want to hike up like this. Pull it down so that the hips are squared. If you had flashlights on, your hip points are pointing straight ahead. Breathe. We're in the legs, so we're going to start with the first chakra at the tailbone. The deadly sin is pride. So sin in Greek just literally means that you're missing the mark. It's not some awful word. If you have a problem with that word, don't. This is sacred language. It's okay. It just means that sin literally means missing the mark. Like when you're shooting at a target and you miss the bullseye, that's what sin is. That's the definition of the word sin. So just think, okay, where am I missing the mark? Well, pride, the deadliest of the 7 deadly. Pride. Where are you in pride? And by the way, we're all in all of these. You are not alone, and that's why we're working through them. And that's why I can go through them one at a time. And I know I can keep your attention because you have issues there. We all do. Flexing, turning out, lifting the heel, turning in, out, and in. Pray for the grace of reverence. And we'll go more into what each one of these mean and definitions, but today we're just kind of rambling through them. Reverence. Ask for reverence. When you move into pride, ask to shift to reverence, the grace of reverence. And release. And we're going to be going through these every day, so you'll learn a little bit more every day. If you have questions, put them on Facebook, and I'll make sure I address those. Now, up onto your tippy toes. Bend your knees, not too far, 50 degrees of knee flexion. So if your heels were down, 50 degrees is probably about that. 50 degrees, 40 degrees, balance. Retract your head, belly in and up. Lower the heels. Press into the heels. Get a nice calf stretch and lift. Breathe like you mean it. We're going to move up to the second level, right about here. I point here, but it's really here. Right here at the spine. Greed. Is the deadly sin. Piety is the grace. Pray for the grace of piety. Piety is seeing God in everything. Seeing the beauty in everything. Squeeze your knees together. Harnessing the mind and the body together. The mind has to really go down here. And see, I started talking, so I can't, it's hard for me to get the mind and the body together. That's okay. I'm just going to start over. Bring the knees together. The mind hooks to the knees, squeezing, squeezing. Heels lifting, belly in and up, balancing. Piety. And release. And I know the question's going to be, oh, can't we just focus on the graces? No, you can't. Because you're sitting in the ugliness, and we've got to, it is ugly, but it's also it's the miscommunication. It's the Wi-Fi problem. We've got to, you've got to see it, awareness. You've got to look at it to move into the world of the graces. Let's stretch the quads, knees together, belly in and up. Move the knee back slightly. Spread the toes. You can use a belt here. Or if your quads are really tight or you have a knee replacement, put it on something like this and just bend the knee. And then move the knee back a little. Now I'm on a quad stretch. Use your imagination. Because if you have a knee replacement, you still need to be working on this knee bending. You have to maintain your 135 degrees of flexion. You need to work on bending the knee more than anyone. Other side. Balance, mountain. Left foot, turn the palm up, belly in and up. Knee moves back slightly, breathe. Spread the toes on both feet like starfish, wiring the brain to the body, harnessing the brain to the body. Move the knee back slightly, come inside yourself, spread the toes on both feet, shoulders down, retract your head. And release. Just reach down towards your feet and drop your head. And then we're going to come back to the mat for a little more yoga. Onto your belly, reach to the insides of your feet. So the hands have to be on the insides of the feet. I'm sorry, go for the outside. They are on the insides of the feet with the standing bow. Downward bow is here. Belly up, tailbone down. Press your feet into your hands and arch behind your heart. Belly up, away from the mat. Again, tailbone pushes down into the mat. Pubic bone presses into the mat. Lift your knees ever so slightly. Lift, squeeze the glutes. Press your feet into your hands to make, you're making the shape of a bow, like a bow and arrow. Breathe like you mean it. Look down, retract, look forward or towards the edge of your mat. Lift. You can use a belt here around your feet as well. Release. One more time, you're at the belly button area, which is the confirmation, is the sacrament. Self-entitlement is the sin, that you are entitled. Yeah, we all feel entitled. I'm entitled to have running water. I'm entitled to have fresh vegetables at the market when I want them. We're entitled to all kinds of things. Self-entitlement is missing the mark. Press open. Pray for the grace of understanding. I understand that the water is not coming today. I'm not entitled to have running water. I understand that there's a break in the pipe. That's how those two work together. Spread your toes. Understanding. And release. Up onto your knees for Ustrasana, the camel. So these names are Sanskrit. Sanskrit's a dead language. Kind of like Latin's a dead language of Europe. Sanskrit's a dead language of India. Let's go wide on the knees, wider than your hips. You can bring your feet together if you want, or a little apart. you're going to retract your head and start this back bend up high. You might just want to stay here. If you can go lower, fine. We've done a lot of back bends to prepare for this. And if you want to, you can reach to your heels. You're in the heart. Breathe. Chin can stay at the Adam's apple, or you can drop it back, whatever you like. Wrath is missing the mark. Now the chin goes back so you're in the throat. Then chin towards the Adam's apple, slowly sit out of this. We're going to work on the rest of them tomorrow and in the future. And then as the weeks go by, you'll know these so well, we'll just be able to rack right through them very quickly. But I think you've had a lot of information today. Ooh, nice back bend, tall spine. Actually, let's leave it there. If ending on a back bend is a good idea for disc herniation people. Now, slowly come down. Let's do our meditation. So make a gingerbread man. Get comfortable. Take your glasses off if you want. Drop your jaw. Walk your shoulder blades together and down, and then that'll allow your collarbones to spread, or that sensation of the shoulders dropping. Belly softens. Release around your eyes and around your mouth. Throat softens. Drop your shoulders, your elbows, all the way to your fingertips. Drop your jaw again, your throat softens, your chest releases, belly softens, glutes spread like jelly underneath you. Thighs let go, kneecaps float, calves release, feet surrender. Gather up the past, everything you did yesterday and the day before and the year before that and the 20 years before that. Set it on a cloud. Let it float away. The past does not exist. It's not there. You are not your past. We are releasing the things of the past that no longer serve us. Set those things on a cloud and let them float away. Eating large quantities of food no longer serves us. Set it on a cloud. Let it float away. Any addictions, drugs, alcohol, those are not serving us. Set them on a cloud. Let them float away. Say goodbye. Gather up the future, everything you're going to do today and tomorrow, next year, next 10 years, your 5-year plan, gather it up, set it on a cloud, let it float away. It's okay. It'll come back to you in 20 minutes. Let it go for now. Affirm the future does not exist either. The only true moment in time is this one. So be here. Follow your breath inside yourself. Bring your attention to your heart and see a treasure chest in your heart. But it's all locked up and it's got a chain wrapped around it. There is a treasure inside, but it's been long buried, long chained up. It's been decades since you've seen it, the treasure inside. The treasure was there when you were born. But you learned to lock it away. With peer pressure and the demands of society and school, of how you should behave, what you should do, who you should become. You put that treasure into a treasure box and locked it up. And over the years, you added more chains as your mind decided who it should be, who it should become. And then you generated the false self, the projected self, the self everyone sees, the self everyone knows from the outside, and the only self you know anymore. Because your true self is in the box. The false self is a figment of the imagination of the mind. Your imagination can be used for creativity, which is an amazing skill. But the imagination can also be used to create a false self, which it does in all of us. But that is not who you are. The false self is not connected to the soul. It is the mind. It is a dictator of the mind. And the mind does not belong in that role. The mind is a puller like the body. It's a pulling horse. It's a pulling ox. It helps you get to where you need to get. It is not in charge. It should not be in charge. It should be placed as an equal with the body, as a tool. over these 12 weeks, we are going to unravel the false self and put the mind back where it belongs, harnessed to the body, to expedite your travel. You will have 2 pulling horses, 2 pulling oxen, instead of 1. You will have the mind and the body now. But we have to free the true self. We need a driver. We will remove the fictitious false self of the mind. We will free the true self, who you once were when you were born. And we will put the true self in the driver's seat. We will find ourselves. We will realign and strengthen the Wi-Fi, the spirit, so we can communicate with the true self, the soul. The soul is the true self. In your mind's eye, go into your heart, see the treasure chest all locked up, wrapped in chains. And begin to unlock the chains. And the locks holding the chains together. Do that however you see fit. Once the chains are off, open the lid of the treasure box. And you'll see a bright light coming out between the cracks. And as you open the lid, the radiance is overwhelming from what's inside. Your true self that you haven't seen in such a long time. Let the mind and the body greet the soul. Like a long, long, long lost friend. Rejoice in the reconnection. Affirm that the mind is going to step down and harness to the body. Tell the soul, you are on a 12-week journey to free it. You are on a lifelong journey to free it. And you are going to free it. You're not just going to free it, you're going to allow it to take over the system. To re-plug in through the spirit. It's going to plug into the spirit and use the Wi-Fi to the heavens, to the cloud. You're going to restore what once was. When you were born, that was the system. Apologize to the soul. for what you've done to it. You've trapped it, closed it off, created a false dictator. Apologize. Let the mind apologize to the body as well for neglect, for food abuse. You're going to restore the body as well to its magnificence, to its temple. The body horse is going to become a magnificent, whatever your favorite is, the Clydesdale, whatever breed of horse that you find the most amazing. See that clearly. That is your body self-image. And we are going there for the body. The mind is going to step into humble, from dictator to humble. The mind is going to take off its crown, set it aside, harness to the horse, and pull with all its magnificence as well. The mind is truly magnificent in its correct role. Out of the driver's seat. When it's driving, it screws up the Wi-Fi system. The Wi-Fi system of the spirit, the chakras, the sacraments. Because they are led by the soul. The Wi-Fi system allows the soul to travel along it. That is the system. The mind cannot traverse the Wi-Fi system. And it's not. And that is where our suffering comes from. We're trying to allow the mind to walk the Wi-Fi system, and it cannot. It's not a data system. It's a knowledge system. It can't get to the cloud. It is incapable of going to the cloud. It's part of the hardware. It's the keyboard. The mind will become humble and play its role as the keyboard once again. As you open the treasure chest, watch as the brightness goes through your heart, through your torso, through your legs, through your arms, through your head, and fills the entire body. Watch as it connects to the Wi-Fi system along the spine. It's plugging in like a strip, an extension cord, the spine is. And the soul is plugging into the bottom plug, the second plug, the third plug, the fourth plug, the fifth plug, the sixth plug, and finally the soul is plugging in to the seventh plug of the Wi-Fi system. Now the soul can traverse the Wi-Fi system and clean it up. There are so many problems in this Wi-Fi system because the beliefs that we've acquired, that the mind has generated, the imagination of the mind has generated these beliefs that are quagmiring the electrical system of the Wi-Fi. We are going to go through these beliefs and Peel them away from the electrical cords. Peel them away from the spirit so that the bandwidth regains what it once was when you were young, very young, probably 0 to 7. You will regain the energy of a child, a young child. You will regain the innocence of a young child. Even Christ himself said, you must become like a child to enter the kingdom of heaven. This is exactly what he meant. You must rewire the system to that of a 4-year-old, because the 4-year-old has the system set up properly. And then you can enter the kingdom of heaven. We're going to get this system wired up properly, the bandwidth expanded, the soul in charge. And then you can walk right into the kingdom of heaven today. We're not talking about when you die. We're talking minute by minute. In the present moment, you can stand in the heavens, completely wired to it, receiving messages from it. Getting your purpose loud and clear. That is our goal. It will take practice and discipline, but we are ready for it. That's where we're going day by day, each day taking a step closer to maintaining that system throughout the day. That is our affirmation. We will unravel the beliefs that clog up our Wi-Fi system, those beliefs that no longer serve us, those beliefs that were generated by the imagination of the mind in its desire to protect us from the outside world. We no longer need that protection. We are adults. We are no longer children. We are strong. We are no longer 8 years old and need to protect ourselves from others. Those beliefs no longer serve us, and we will rid ourselves of them one by one until the bandwidth expands and we reconnect to who we really are. Amen. Let it be so. Let it be so. That's what amen means. Say amen throughout your day. Let it be so. Remember this experience. Remember this setup. We're setting up the system, the hardware, the software, the Wi-Fi, the cloud. We know what it should look like. We're taking steps towards it. Let it be so. Wiggling your fingers and your toes. Reach your hands above your head and stretch, big stretch. Big stretch. Exhale, roll to your right side in a fetal position. Placing your hand on the floor, push yourself up to a seated position that you like. I kind of like this one. With one foot up, it tilts the pelvis forward so I can sit up straighter. But do what you want. Bring your hands to the heart. As you exhale, lower your ego mind below your compassionate heart in reverence. Inhale as you rise. and namaste. Namaste means the light in me honors the light that shines within you. The soul in me, who can now see, honors the soul in you. That's piety. I see the light in you. I see the God spark in you. I see the God spark in me. I see my soul. I see your soul. Everyone I greet today, I see their soul. Even the homeless person on the side of the road, that same soul dwells within them. And I have reverence for that. The piety is the seeing, and the reverence for his life, her soul, his soul. Reverence throughout my day. Namaste. Until tomorrow. Here they go. We're on a river. Frozen. 50 miles up this river. They're off. They're gone.
Look at that. My hands are frozen, but I'm doing it for you guys so you guys can
It's
experience it.
11 a.m.
You can see what I'm seeing.
The sun's rising. There they go.
Oh, there's one in the background there. Look at that.
Beautiful.
I mean, you saw this video.